talking to the internet, your first API call. Last episode, you cleaned the form data, trim spaces, structured output for those 3 fields. Now the data's sitting in your workflow, not doing anything yet. This episode, you send it to the internet using an API call and live web results will come back. You'll store credentials the right way because we say no to hard-coded keys in n8n. We use n8n's Vault. So by the end of this video, your workflow will talk to Perplexity. You'll have real research, real answers. This is the moment your assistant starts thinking outside of your workflow. Right now, your workflow lives in n8n. It processes what you give it. An API is how your workflow actually talks to other services. Perplexity, Google, Slack, anything. API stands for Application Programming Interface. Just think of it as a phone number. You call the number, you send a question, the service sends back an answer, but you need permission to call. That's what the API key is. It's the permission or the access pass. Now, most services allow you to create or access an API key once you sign up. Make sure that you copy that key somewhere safe. In n8n, you're only going to add it once and it's going to remember it moving forward. Now, this episode, you'll store your Perplexity key in n8n's Credential Vault. Then you're going to make the call. The vault keeps secrets out of your workflow. If you export or share the workflow, the key stays hidden. And that's the big difference between hard coding and using n8n's Vault. Now, this is the pattern for every external service. Learn it once, use it everywhere. So now we're going to get into making this happen. Back on the canvas, we've got our form trigger connected to our set. Now we're going to go ahead and add an HTTP request. So we'll click the little plus sign and in the search field, type in HTTP. You'll see the HTTP request. We'll give that a click. So we're going to go ahead and give it a name. So up in that top left, instead of HTTP, too many T's, HTTP request, we're going to give it the name of Perplexity, Search Web, and Citations. You'll see off to the left, we've got our input nodes coming from the set, and there's some settings. There's a method that we need to fill out, the URL and authentication. So starting with the method, we need to select post. Post means you're sending data to the API. Get would just retrieve it. In the URL field, we need to place in the API web address. In this case, going with api.perplexity.ai/chat/completions. Now this is the moment that your workflow leaves n8n, touches the internet. Everything before this was internal. Everything after this is live. Now we're coming down to authentication. We're going to click this drop down. Now, when you're first setting this up, generic credential type is what you're going with. And that's going to give another drop down, which is generic auth type. We'll click that drop down. And what we're looking for here is header auth. Now, I've already got my credentials set up in the description, as I pointed out in the last couple of videos, how to get all that set up. If you don't already have it, no worries. Pause the video and go check those out and get that set up because this is the point where you're going to need it. Now, once you actually get your credentials and you've got your API access key, you would come to create new credential. And at the top, you would name your credential. So that's here. And then you're going to see 2 fields, name and value. So the name here is going to be authorization. Make sure, there we go, capitalized. And then the value starts with bearer. And then what you would do is type a space, and then you would paste in your Perplexity API key. So again, it's bearer, space, paste in that API key. And once that's done, you would click save, and now that is stored in n8n's Vault. You'll never need to type that again, at least not for this project. Now here's what you should not do. Do not paste that key into this form. Always use the Vault. Then you'll select the credential from a drop-down. That's what I did here. I pulled in my Perplexity API n8n key, and it's set to go. Now, n8n rejects it at runtime. The key never appears in your workflow, so it's safe when doing it this way. So now the authentication is configured. n8n sends your API key with every request. So now there's a couple of more things we need to do. We're going to come down and we are going to turn on the send body. We're body content type. We're choosing JSON. And then here for the specified body, what we're going to do is click the drop down, using JSON, and it's an expression. Inside of this, I'm pasting in, and I'll use the pop out so you'll see. You can take a screenshot of this. I'll probably also throw this in the chat. We've got our model, which is set to sonar. Here is our message as if we were using the chat interface. We're saying the role is system, and then here's the content. You're a professional research assistant. Conduct a comprehensive web search on the user's topic. Focus on current 2026 trends, clinical applications, and industry reports. Cite all sources. Role, user. Content, please research the latest developments and provide a summary regarding, and this right here is essentially this that's been dragged over. And I'll show you how that looks if I were to, have manually typed all of this out. I would bring that and dropping that there. And you'll see on the right-hand side, as far as the result, it's actually populating with our topic. And then the max tokens, that's going to limit the response length. So 2,000 is decent for us to get started, right? As far as the research that it's going to return, depending on what you're working on, that number can increase. And then the temperature, 0.1 makes it more factual, less creative. So you think on a scale of 0.1 up to 0.9. The more creative, the higher the number. Return citations, true, because we do want to have those citations showing up. Another thing that I do want to mention, that messages is an array. There's two objects. First object is the system role. It tells Perplexity how to behave. Second object is the user role. It contains the research question here. That expression that I just showed you there, that is going to pull that clean topic from the set node. Data flows left to right. The HTTP request sees everything in the edit fields node output. Now what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down to options, and we're going to click add options. And what we want to do is select response. We're going to toggle on include response headers and status. And this is going to help you debug if something actually happens. Now we've got all of our settings that are needed. We'll go ahead and try this out. Execute step. You will just wait for it to run. It's talking to the internet right now. We look at this as far as the schema. We see a breakdown here. Different citations, of course, our search results, and then the content. So our content here is actually giving us a summary. Now, again, we've got live web data. Perplexity searched the internet, found some sources, summarized them, sent them on back. One API call was made, and we see the result. The credential is in the vault, key is hidden, workflow is secure. Now, this is the same pattern we use for every API. Change the URL, you might change the body, but it's the same process. So you can now connect n8n to any external service using an API. But look at this output. Right? If we look at JSON, it's just raw JSON. Nested objects, that's what each of these levels is, a nesting. Extra metadata that we don't need. Research content, not the extra stuff that's here, but that's coming up next. Which leads me to say, in the next episode, it's called Reading the Response, working with JSON. You're gonna parse this raw Perplexity response, pull out only the research content, remove the metadata, remove the nested objects, clean the output, ready to use. It will be one node, one transformation. The workflow starts to feel more intelligent. Make sure I see you there. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel and also turn the alerts on for this playlist. See y'all soon.